First off, I want to say shalom, salam, assalamu alaikum, hotep, black power, whatever's your favorite. The Nanesh, Akamjata, and Kamelahi. I've been with Knox and Queens, I'm feeling it in. Yes, I pray, I believe in the truth and the planting of these seeds. Yeah, yes, I pray, I believe in the impossible things that's unseen. Yeah, yes, I pray, I believe.
Shalom, kulam. Shalom, kulam. Let's get started. I have to share something with you guys. Let's get started. All right. So I wanted to share. So the video today is Bysa. We are FBA, ADOS, and say Shemitic African Yisraelites. So let's get started. So Bysa, we are FBA, Foundational Black Americans. We was here since 1619 to 2019. That's 400 years. 1619 to 2025 is 406 years and counting. We are ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. Again, 1619 to 2019, 400 years. 1619 to 2025, 406 years and counting. We are Africans, but we are Shemitic African Israelites. We are unique and different. We are not Hamitic Africans or come from the 54 Hamitic African countries. We come from Israel, which Israel sits on the African tectonic plate. So bare minimum, Africa has 55 African countries now. 54 Hamitic African countries and 1 Shemitic African country, Israel by definition. So we know where we are from, the continent of Africa, and from the Shemitic African country called Israel. So we know who we are. We know that we are Africans. We're not Hamitic Africans. We are Shemitic Africans. And we know where we come from. We come from Israel. We are from Israel, which is Northeast Africa. Hence, we are Northeast Shemitic Africans, Nessa. We are Ash. Ash is Afro-Asiatic Shemitic Africans. When you look at the definition of Hebrew, it states that they are Afro-Asiatic. We are Shemitic, Semitic. We are Israelites, and we are Hebrews. So Ash ancestors are Abraham, Yitzchak, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Hence, we are the descendants of Jacob / Israel. We are the Israelites. We are more accurately Bysa. Bysa stands for B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic Africans. We are the descendants of Jacob or Yaakov or Yisrael or Israel. B'nai Yisrael means the children of or the sons of, right? So B'nai Yisrael means the children of Israel. The name Jacob, whose name was changed to Yisrael or Israel. B'nai means sons or children of, and Yisrael means Israel. So B'nai Yisrael means the children of Yisrael, Israel, which is mentioned in the Bible 662 times. B'nai Yisrael is the children of Yisrael, the nation of Israel, and the 12 tribes of Israel, Yisraelites or Israelites. We are from Noah's son Shem, hence we are Shemitic. And out of the 7 continents on earth, we are from the continent of Africa. And Israel literally sits on the African tectonic plate. And so Israel is an African country, people, and language, and Hebrew is a Hebrew language. I mean, an African language. So Hebrew is an African language, the Hebrew people, the Israelite people. Historical fact, before the same land was called Israel, it was filled with Shemitic people. That land was first called Canaan, right? Which was one of Ham's sons. He had Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, right? So Canaan, which was one of Ham's sons, and it was inhabited by Hamitic Africans, and then later became inhabited by Shemitic Africans, the Israelites. The Romans called the land Palestine after 135 AD or 135 CE, right? Because they was upset with the Israelites, and I think they had a war, and so they was trying to cut off our connection with the land. So they called it Syria, Palestine. But during the times of Moshe or Moses, Dawid or David, Shlomo or Solomon, during the time of Bnei Yisrael or the children of Israel, the Israelites, when they was there, during the time of YAHOSHUA or Joshua, who the world incorrectly calls Jesus, during the disciples, the apostles, and the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, that land was not called Palestine. It was called YISRAEL or Israel, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, and Judea, Yehuda, Judah, Judean. There's a prophecy of slavery of Bysa nation, our nation, right? The FBAs, the ADOS, especially Yehuda, Judah, Judean, right? In Luke 21, 20 through 24 by YAHOSHUA the Messiah, Joel 3, 1 through 8 by the prophet Joel, especially Joel chapter 3, verse 2 and 6. And then in the Torah in Genesis 10, 1 tells you who the people are who scattered Bysa, Israelites, Yehuda, Judah, the Judeans. And then in part 2, I'm going to get into all that to show Bysa we are FBA, ADOS, and Shemitic African Israelites. All right. Now, here was the Bysa TZEDAKAH nation identity flow chart. Let me just check something right quick. So this is going to be the identity flow chart. Up top, we have Bysa, which stands for B'nai Yisrael Shemitic African. My name is Uziyahu Ben Yehuda. I made 2 flags. I made the red, black, and green flag with the menorah and the Shema, and that's the modern flag, the modern colors, right? To represent FBA, ADOS, so-called African Americans, right? And then I made the ancient flag, right, which had the ancient colors of the tabernacle, which is red, purple, blue, white, and gold. And we have the menorah as well. So to go across the board, Bysa, we are FBA, we're foundational Black Americans. Bysa, we are American descendants of slavery. Bysa, our ancestors is Ash. So Bysa is Afro-Asiatic Shemitic Hebrews, because the Hebrews was before the Israelites. Because Abraham was called Eber, and Eber in Hebrew means Ibrit, or in Hebrew means Hebrew. So Abraham was the first to be called Hebrew, and we're descendants of Abraham. You know, Abraham had Isaac and had Ishmael. And then his son Isaac had Yaakov, or Jacob, and Esau, or the Edomites. So you have the Israelites and the Edomites. So we are Hebrew Israelites. So we're HI, Hebrew Israelites. But we're not BHI. We're not Black Hebrew Israelites. See, Black Hebrew Israelite, that's a derogatory and racist term that apologists and white supremacists came up with. Because we even had white people, Arab people, Jewish people, all type of people confirm that the ancient Israelites were melanated, were Black. So we're not worried about that. So we're not BHI. We reject that. Me and my people more accurately, we call ourselves Bysa, B'nai Yisrael Shemitic African. All right, so Bysa, we're Afro-Asiatic Shemitic Hebrew. Bysa, we're Northeast Shemitic Africans. Bysa, we are Shemitic African Yisraelites, or Israelites, right? And I came up with a super acronym called BANDS, which stands for Bysa, Ash, Ness, and Say, right? All right. And we are B'nai Yisrael, B-Y. That stands for the children of Israel, and that represents the 12 tribes of Israel. So we may call ourselves Bysa, which is B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic African. So when you hear Bysa, you know Bysa stands for B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic Africa. So going forth, when I talk about our identity, B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic African, I'm going to refer to it as Bysa. So now going forth, you know what Bysa means. So we also confirm ourselves as Bysa, right? B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic African. TZEDAKAH means righteousness, justice, and charity. And Shebet Yehuda is a Hebrew term that means the tribe of Yehuda, or the tribe of Judah, or the tribe of the Judeans, right? So you might hear me referring ourselves as Bysa, Bysa TZEDAKAH Nation, Bysa TZEDAKAH People, Bysa TZEDAKAH Community, right? Or if we want to talk about our tribe, Bysa TZEDAKAH Shebet Yehuda. And, you know, so Bysa, righteousness, tribe of Yehuda. And when you look at Deuteronomy 28, 1-14, it talks about the blessings. But in order for us to receive the blessings, we have to practice, have a lifestyle, and follow TZEDAKAH, which means righteousness, justice, and charity. When we don't follow TZEDAKAH, then we have the curses. And we're not talking about Deuteronomy 28, 15-68. No, what's more powerful is Deuteronomy 28, 1-14. Let that marinate. Read that slowly and let that marinate and understand what that means to be in the right relationship and in TZEDAKAH. So if somebody asks me, what's your religion? I don't have a religion. I follow TZEDAKAH, which means righteousness. And the Torah and the Tanakh and the Brit HaKadashah gives you the formula of how to follow TZEDAKAH. How we're not supposed to worship other gods, mention other gods, follow the other nations and their practices. We're supposed to be set apart. We're supposed to delineate or be set apart in righteousness, to the side in righteousness. Then Yah will give us political power, economic power, safety, and give us protection from the different nations. And our hands will be blessed. We will be lenders and not borrowers. And the foreigners or the immigrants that's amongst you shall not rise up higher than you while we become lower. There's a lot of things. Now, if you read Deuteronomy 28, 15-68, then you also understand our current state, because we don't know who we are. That also confirms who we are. But I am a FBA who know who I am, who went back to my roots. So when an FBA and ADOS becomes enlightened to the truth, then they become Bysa. They graduate up to Bysa. But FBA and ADOS, those are our people. They're Hebrew Israelites, and we're still working on their behalf. You know, all may not agree, but we still love. We are FBA. We are ADOS. All right. Let's continue. Now, let's look at the definition of Hebrew. Hebrew, a member of the Semitic or Shemitic peoples inhabiting ancient Palestine and claiming descent from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Israelite, a Semitic or Shemitic language of the Afro-Asiatic family, the language of the ancient Hebrews, now the national language of Israel. Afro, a thick hairstyle with very tight curls that sticks out all around the head like the natural hair of some Black people. Origin, 1930s, independent uses of Afro, or an abbreviation of African, because we are Afro, we are African, we are Shemitic. So the definition of Hebrew, as we see, is Afro-Asiatic, Shemitic, Semitic, and Hebrew. Ash, right? Ash stands for Afro-Asiatic, Shemitic, Hebrew. Ash ancestors is Abraham, which name was changed, he was called Eber, which means Hebrew. You have Isaac and you have Jacob, whose name is Yaakov, but his name was changed to Israel or YISRAEL, and those are the Israelites. So you see Abraham, when you come from Abraham, you're a Hebrew, and when you come from Jacob, his grandson, you are Israelite. So that's where we come up with Hebrew Israelite, from Abraham to Jacob, right? All right. Abraham was called Hebrew, and his descendants are Hebrews. Ash. Now, Bysa descendants, Jacob's name was called Israel, Israelites. B'nai Israel means children of Israel. Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. We are Shemitic. Out of the 7 continents on earth, we are from Africa, and Israel sits on the African tectonic plate. We are B'nai Israel. We are Bysa. We are the 12 tribes of Yisrael. We are the children of Israel. So Bysa is Shemitic Africans and Northeast Shemitic Africans, Nessa. So B'nai Israel, Shemitic African, we're Bysa, right? B'nai Israel, Shemitic African. We're Ash, we're Afro-Asiatic Shemitic Hebrews, and we're Nessa, we're Northeast Shemitic Africans, and we are Shemitic African Israelites. All right, let's get it. Now, this right here, you can type this up in ChatGPT. Can you show how Israel sits on the African tectonic plate? Yes, Israel is located near a major tectonic boundary that separates the African plate and the Arabian plate. The boundary is known as the Dead Sea Transform Fault, also called as the Dead Sea Rift or the Jordan Rift Valley. Tectonic overview. The African plate, this large tectonic plate includes most of the African continent and extends northeast. Remember, we're Northeast Africans, northeastward to include the Sinai Peninsula. The Arabian plate includes the Arabian Peninsula and parts of the Middle East. Where does Israel sit? Most of Israel, especially west of the Jordan River, including cities like Tel Aviv, Haifa, and Jerusalem, lies on the Sinai subplate, which is part of the African plate. The Dead Sea Transform Fault runs roughly north-south along the Jordan Valley, the Dead Sea, and the Arava Valley. This fault marks the boundary between the African plate to the west and the Arabian plate to the east. Eastern Jordan and parts of the Golan Heights are on the Arabian plate. Hallelujah. Now, this is what I want to give you a visual. What does Bysa mean again? It means B'nai Israel, Shemitic African. What does B'nai Israel mean? B'nai Israel means sons, children of, and Yisrael means Israel or Israelite. So B'nai Israel means children of Yisrael, Israel, B'nai Israel, or you see it in the Hebrew, B'nai Israel. What does Shemitic mean? Descendant of Shem, hence Shemitic. Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. We are from Noah's son, Shem. Why do we say we're African? Well, out of the 7 continents on this earth, we are from Africa, but we are very different and unique Africans. There are 2 classifications of Africans. You have Hamitic Africans, which are descendants of Ham. And you have Shemitic Africans, which are descendants of Shem. We are Shemitic Africans. There are 54 countries in Hamitic Africa, and there are 16 countries in Shemitic Africa that the world, or we call Arabia, Asia Minor, and the Middle East. If you look up how Arabia used to be considered Africa, research that and you'll see that as well before the Suez Canal. All right. To be more accurate, the land of Israel literally sits on the African tectonic plate. So the ancient Israelites are Shemitic Africans, and they are Northeast Africans. So they are Nessa, Northeast Shemitic African. Every time I say Nessa, I think about Bernie Mac and when he said NASA, you know what I'm saying? All right. There are 54 Hamitic countries of Africa. And at bare minimum, 1 Shemitic African country called Israel. So in conclusion, with Israel being on the African tectonic plate, there are now 55 countries on the continent of Africa. If we add the 54 Hamitic countries and the 1 Shemitic country, Israel, we now have 55 African countries, bare minimum. But if we add the 16 Shemitic countries to the 54 African countries, then there would be a total of 70 countries on the continent of Africa. So it's either 55, bare minimum. Right now, you have the 54 plus Israel, which is on the African tectonic plate. That's 55 or 70. So the 55th African country that is Shemitic, that's Israel. So Bysa is Shemitic Africa. All right. So Israel is 1 Shemitic country. Israel would be the 55th African country. 54 Hamitic African countries plus Israel as 1 Shemitic country equals 55 African countries. Bysa is Northeast Shemitic African. Israel sits on the African tectonic plate. Israel is Northeast Africa. As you see, Israel, the African plate, and then to the right, you see the Arabian plate. So Africa is either 55 or 70 countries. 54 Hamitic countries and 1 Shemitic country, Israel. Bysa is Northeast Shemitic.
As long as we begin or continue to look towards Europeans as the people of the Bible, as the people of this region, as the holy people, and the Holy Land somehow has been dissected or removed from being part of Africa, it will continue to manifest itself in spiritual problems for our people.
This is Africa, this is north of Africa. Now they make Libya and Morocco and Tunis, they say North Africa. It's west, the west, we are in the north.
Without question, we are in Northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now.
We're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa.
Afrocentrists are still fighting tooth and nail for Egypt to be included as a part of Africa, because most Egyptologists and anthropologists, archaeologists of the Eurocentric persuasion will say that Egypt is in Africa. They had to concede that, but then they still draw the line by saying that they weren't Africans like that. In other words, they weren't dark-skinned people. And of course, this is all part of the Great Deception. And the reality is that if they give up Egypt, ancient Kemet, if they give that up and say that that was a part of Black Africa, then they will also have to give up Israel. And that's why they draw the line at Egypt, because if they give up Egypt, they've got to give up Israel.
The attempted cover-up of the physical appearance and hue of the ancient Egyptians was of great significance to accomplish the Great Deception. However, studies show, predating the invading nations that came into the land of Ham, that the pharaohs and people of Egypt were undoubtedly highly melanated people, glowing before the sun.
The evidence is hands down. It's not even something that we engage in a debate on about the dark-skinned nature of the peoples that lived in these regions in antiquity. The reality is that we tend to look at this land based on what we've seen in contemporary times. And what do we see? We see fair-skinned Israelis, and we see fair-skinned Arabs.
So go subscribe, go check out his documentaries, Stephen Graham. So yeah, in conclusion, Africa is either 55 or 70 countries. Israel is an African country. We are Northeast Shemitic Africans. Hebrew is an African language. The Hebrew Israelites is a Shemitic African people. And we're on the Shemitic African landmass. But we are definitely, even though we're Africans, we are Shemitic. Hallelujah. So, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, share. I pray that this opened up a lot of eyes, FBA eyes, African eyes, because we sit in a different position. We're FBA and we're Africans. I'm going to say this. This is my message for everybody. If you're FBA, if you're African, whoever you are, I'm going to tell you the words that Yah told Abraham. Yah told Abraham, and we're going to tell the world. This is us being as Bysa, B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic African. We're FBA, we ADOS, so we're African, right? Yah said, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. So, my prayer and message to people, please humble yourself. Repent and get yourself right with Yahweh Elohim, Yod He Wah He. Some people say Yahweh, some people say Yah, because he is the creator and the Elohim of B'nai Yisrael, of Bysa, TZEDAKAH nation. Yah told us, Second Chronicles 7:14, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear their prayers and I will heal their land. So this right here is to let you know who we are. Bysa, we are FBA, we're ADOS. But if you go down, you see the blue, that's who we are. We're Bysa, we're Ash, we're Nessa, and we're Say. Bands is showing you those four. We're B'nai Israel. People didn't know what that is, but we are Bysa, TZEDAKAH, Shebet, Yehuda. We're from the tribe of Yehuda. And I'm going to get into part 2. I'm going to get into how Judah, Yehuda in 70 AD, when the Romans came through and destroyed the temple, how we fled into Africa and how we was amalgamated amongst the Hamitic African, how we fled into the 54 African Hamitic countries. Because we was already in Africa, right? Israel, we already have our piece of Africa. We're Shemitic. We already have our homeland because we're not from none of those 54 African countries, right? So we know who we are. So we're from Shemitic Africa. We're from Israel. During the exile, we started running because we had the Arab Holocaust, the Indian Ocean Holocaust, the Arab slave trade, but they killed us and forced us to become Muslim. Then we fled down south, central. Then we fled west. Then once we got west, I think the Arabs told the Portuguese that they had the people of the book, as slaves. And then from West Africa, we had the West Africans participate in the transatlantic slave Holocaust. You had the Portuguese. You had all the different, the offshoot nations of the Rome. Like I said, I'm gonna get into all that in part 2. You even had Jews, Arabs, Christians. You had all the different religions and even Africans participate in the demise of FBA, of ADOS, of Bysa, of the children of Israel. And it's prophesied in Luke 21, 20 through 24, Joel 3, 1 through 8. And then it tells you who the people is, Genesis 10, 1 through 5. A lot of this hatred toward so-called African Americans, FBA, ADOS, that's prophesied in Psalm 83. It gives you a list of the different nations and people coming together. And it says, gather together, O nation not desired. And the curses, it said that all the nations where you were taken, you will be a proverb, a mockery. So many different nations and tribes will mock FBA, will mock ADOS, will mock Bysa, the children of God, the children of Yah. So these humiliations, ridicules, and all the stuff that we're going through, it's really a sign that we are the people, but also a sign that we are the people, which people are going to see. See, delineation, another word for delineation in the Bible is being set apart. We're supposed to be set apart and be righteous. We're not supposed to follow any other gods, religions, the other nations, how they worship. We are only supposed to worship YHWH, Yahweh Elohim, and follow his Torah and eat the Leviticus 11. We're supposed to eat this way. We're supposed to have relationship dynamics his way. We're supposed to follow his way so we can be blessed. So, to answer the question, we know who we are, and we are African. But to put it in context, we are unique and special African. We are Shemitic African. We are not Hamitic African. We are not from any of the 54 Hamitic African countries. We are from the Shemitic African country called Israel. But we do share and belong to the continent of Africa. But we just have our own culture, our own language, and and some of these things later on, I can show you some of the things that we say and do can actually connect back to our ancient Hebraic Israelite culture. But that, like I said, we got time for that. But I just wanted to enter to this conversation, bring some sober energy for people to calm down, right? For people to calm down. And let's stop the hating. We have to, like I said, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways. Now we hear their prayers. Now we hear their land. So there is a land that FBA ADOS belongs to. And I'm saying that we belong to Israel. But right now, we have been 406 years and counting. We have built this country. We are a cultural, social, a giant leader amongst all the earth, amongst all the nations. We are a light, but we are a negative light. But Yah will raise us up to be that righteous light that the nation shall follow. Hallelujah. In the Son YAHOSHUA's name. May Yah bless you. May Yah keep you. May he shine his face upon you and give you peace. Thanks for watching. This is Bysa TZEDAKAH Ida. This is Bysa TZEDAKAH Nation. And this is Bysa TZEDAKAH Shebet Yehuda. This is Uziyahu Ben Yehuda, a.k.a. Uziyahu HaMelech. And I just want to thank y'all. All right. Yep. So I just want to say, shalom, shalom.
Yes, I pray, I believe in Yahweh, Elohim, and YAHOSHUA is King. Yes, I pray, 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 I pray 5 times a day, 5 times a day. Yeah.
I'm Afro-Asiatic, yeah. Hebrew Israelite, a Shemitic, man, she's Afro-Asiatic. I'm Afro-Asiatic, yeah. Southern, I am Central, but we still have the scent. Yo.